In the summer of 1790, in a village beneath the Cindrel Mountains, the sky was clear. Hay lay drying in long golden rows. Children ran barefoot through dust. The church bell rang for evening prayer. Then, without wind, without warning, without distant thunder, a cloud appeared. Not above the village, not above the valley, above a single field. As if someone had drawn a line across the sky. On one side, sunlight, on the other, hail. And in the middle of it, a man was running. Witnesses would later say the storm followed him. Wherever he ran, the cloud moved, as if it recognized him. And inside the cloud, for a single second, something shifted. Long, dark, like a tail cutting through vapor. When the man fell to his knees, someone whispered, "Solomonari." By morning, the storm was gone. The neighboring fields were untouched. But in front of the man's house, a strange thing had appeared. An axe had been driven into the ground, and rainwater from the roof was flowing along its blade. Flowing and flowing, until suddenly, it stopped.
My name is Andre. I am not a soldier. I am not a priest. I am a wandering school teacher. I carry books where others carry knives. I travel from village to village, following stories most people prefer not to follow. Places where people say strange things happen. Places where storms come without wind. Where animals refuse to cross a field. Where old men stop talking when night falls. Some call them superstitions. I call them questions. And I have spent years walking through the mountains, looking for the places where those questions refuse to die. That is how I came to this village. They did not send for me. No one ever does. You hear about a place in a market, or at a roadside fire, or from a man who lowers his voice without knowing why. Storms that strike only one field, hail that falls in sunlight, a man who angered the sky. That was enough. So I went to a village beneath the Cindrel Mountains, a place the locals called
Runcu Cindrelului.
When I entered the village, they welcomed me politely. But they were not looking at me. They were looking past me, at the clouds. An old shepherd named Babu offered me bread and a place to sit. He watched the sky for a long time before speaking. Then he said,
"In this valley, storms do not arrive by accident."
I asked him what he meant. He did not answer immediately. He broke the bread in two, handed me a piece, and said,
"They arrive by account."
I asked him what that meant. He looked at me carefully, as if deciding whether I should hear it. Then he said,
"It means the sky remembers."
The man the storm had followed was named Ili. He owned more land than the others, more cattle, more pride. He also had a son. The boy had been born with a caul, a thin membrane over his head and shoulders. The midwives whispered. Some called it blessing, some called it calling. As the boy grew, small folds of skin formed beneath his arms, like unfinished wings. Ili cut them. They grew back. He cut them again. They grew again. The village began to murmur. He is marked. Ili refused to live with a sign he did not understand. One night, he took the boy into the mountains. He left him at the edge of the forest.
Do not return.
He said,
Do not carry my name.
The boy did not cry. He looked up at the sky and walked into the dark. In these mountains, there are stories older than churches. Stories of children born marked. It is said that when such a child is abandoned, he is not alone for long. An old Solomonari, a weather wizard, finds him. Not by accident, by sign. The boy is taken beneath the earth. Into a hidden school, known in whispers as the Solomonari. There, 10 apprentices are gathered. They remain underground for 7 years. They learn every language spoken by living creatures, the speech of wind, the murmur of water beneath stone, the tremor inside clouds before hail forms. They learn charms and curses. They learn how to bind lightning to iron. Above them, suspended by threads, hang millstones. Each apprentice must walk beneath them without flinching. Many turn back. Only one remains. And their teacher, according to the oldest accounts, is the devil himself. After 7 years, only one apprentice is chosen. The others return changed, or do not return at all. The chosen one receives 3 things: an enchanted iron axe, a bridle woven from birch bark, and a book containing the hidden knowledge of storms. Then he is led to water, to an alpine lake that does not change its level, whether rain falls or snow. There, he calls the dragon beneath, and when it rises, he mounts it. He rides into the clouds and directs the hail. Ili's son vanished in 1783. 7 years later, the storms began.
Later that day, Babu offered me a bed to sleep in at the sheepfold. An old woman came to see me that evening. She had been the midwife at the boy's birth. Firelight flickers against the wooden beams of the sheepfold. Outside, the sheep shift quietly in the dark. The old woman sits close to the fire. Her hands are folded over the head of a worn wooden staff. For a while, she says nothing. Babu watches from the shadows. Then she speaks.
I was there.
She looks into the fire.
I was the one who brought that boy into the world.
The flames crackle softly.
At first, there was nothing strange. The birth was long, but clean. The child cried strong lungs.
She nods slightly.
A healthy boy.
Then her expression changes.
But when we washed him, we saw it. A thin skin like a veil.
Babu shifts slightly in the darkness. The old woman continues.
At first we said nothing. Some say such children see things others do not. But Ili did not like what he saw.
The fire pops.
At first he only stared. Then he began asking questions. Too many questions.
She imitates his tone quietly.
Is it normal? Will it stay? Can it be removed?
We told him the truth, that the skin would dry, that it would fall away, that the boy would grow like any other child.
Then she adds quietly.
But Ili had already begun to fear him.
The wind moves softly outside the sheepfold.
And fear is where these stories always begin.
Then she stayed a little longer and left, leaving Babu and me thinking. The day was very long, and I was tired after the hike to the village, so I fell asleep pretty quickly. The next day, Babu said we should leave the village and take a walk to the lake. Babu took me to the lake at dawn. It lay high in the mountains. Wind crossed the ridge, but the water did not move. On one side of the lake stood a tall man reading from a book. On the opposite side stood another. They did not speak to each other. They read. As they read, the center of the lake began to tremble. Not with waves, with depth. A low sound rose from beneath the surface. Like something breathing underwater. Babu whispered.
Do not throw a stone.
I did. The sound stopped. The water sank inward. The sky darkened in a single breath. A cloud formed above us. Dense, vertical, almost touching the earth. Inside it, something long shifted. We ran. The hail began before we reached the ridge. It did not fall randomly. It fell where I ran, as if correcting me. The storm did not come the next day, nor the day after. For a while, the sky stayed clear, as if nothing had happened. And that frightened the village more than the hail. Because when the sky stays quiet after a warning, it means the answer has not been given yet. On the fourth evening, the wind stopped. Not slowly, all at once. The trees froze in place, leaves hanging without sound. Even the dogs stopped barking. Babu looked toward the mountains and said only,
It has found him.
A cloud was rising above the ridge. Not spreading. Climbing. Straight up like smoke from a fire no one could see. People stepped out of their houses. No one spoke. The cloud moved across the valley without touching the ground, until it stood above one place. Illy's field. Sunlight covered the rest of the village. Only his land went dark. Then the first stone fell. Not many, just a few. Heavy, slow, as if the sky was testing the distance. Illy ran out of the house shouting. He looked up once, and then he started running. The hail followed him. Not the wind, not the rain, only the hail. Where he ran, it fell. When he crossed the yard turned white. When he reached the road shattered under ice. But the fields beside him stayed green. People backed away, crossing themselves. Someone whispered,
It knows him.
Illy ran toward the barn. The cloud moved. He ran toward the well. The cloud moved. He ran toward the edge of the village. And the storm moved with him, as if tied to his shadow. The sound above us changed. No longer thunder, something deeper, a dragging sound, like something heavy turning inside the clouds. Then the shape appeared. At first, only a darker line inside the storm, long curved, moving against the wind. The cloud opened for a moment, and we saw it. Something like a body, not bird, not snake. Too large for both. Its back rolled through the vapor, and the hail began to fall faster, harder, striking only the ground around Illy. People fell to their knees. Babu grabbed my arm.
Do not look too long.
He whispered. But I could not stop. The cloud split again, and this time we saw him. A man seated on the moving shape. Tall, still. Birch bark, pale against the dark sky. The thing beneath him turned once more, and the sound came again from above the village. Ili stumbled. He fell in the mud in front of his house. He raised his hands and screamed.
I didn't know. I didn't know what he was. I didn't know.
The cloud lowered, not all the way, just enough. The shape descended through the vapor, not touching the ground, hovering. The rider slid down from its back, as if stepping from a stair no one else could see. The air felt heavy, like before lightning. The man stood in front of Ili. His clothes were dark, wet with cloud. He spoke quietly.
Look at me.
Slowly, Ili raised his eyes. The man's face was pale. Older, harder. Ili whispered.
My boy,
You got what you did not understand.
I was afraid.
You threw away what was given.
I didn't know.
You knew enough to send me into the mountain.
The wind began to rise again. The dragon above shifted, restless.
For 7 years, I learned the speech of storm and stone. For 7 years, I walked under the earth where no father follows. And when I came back, you closed the door.
Forgive me. I beg you. Take the field. Take the house. Take everything.
I did not come for your field.
He raised the bridle slightly. The cloud above trembled. Suddenly, a shout broke through the storm. A man ran into the yard, waving his arms, holding a cross tied with straw and cloth. The stone master. He screamed words no one could understand, drawing signs in the air, throwing handfuls of grain into the mud. He struck the ground with his staff again and again. The dragon above roared, a deep tearing sound inside the sky. The Solomonari looked up once. Then he turned back to Ili, as if he wanted to say more. But the air broke. The storm pulled upward. The dragon rose through the cloud, its long body vanishing into white. The Solomonari stepped back, caught the bridle, and in a single motion was lifted with it. Then he was gone. The cloud closed. The hail stopped. Sunlight fell on the yard again. Only Ili's house was broken. And in the mud beside him lay the birch bark bridle. The storm did not return the next day, but the village did not feel safe. When a storm comes once like that, people know it can come again. The man they called the stone master did not leave. He stayed in the village, walking from house to house, speaking in a low voice, as if every word carried weight. He told them the Solomonari had not finished. He told them the storm could return any night. And he told them he was the only one who knew how to stop it. At first he asked for simple things. Eggs baked in ash, milk left at the door before sunrise, a candle kept from Easter night, a wreath of wheat hung beside the icon. The villagers gave them without question. But for Ili, it was not enough. The stone master said the storm had chosen him, that the sky had written his name. Ili brought him grain, then silver, then more silver. I saw him one evening counting coins with shaking hands before placing them into the man's bag. How much? I asked Babu.
Enough to buy half the valley,
said the old shepherd. The stone master began to speak louder after that. He stood in the middle of the road and said no Solomonari could cross the mountains while he was there. He said he knew the old words. He said he knew the signs. He said the storm obeyed him now. People believed him. Fear makes men believe many things, but something did not sit right with me. The night the storm came, the stone master had arrived before it. The night the storm stopped, he was the first to claim victory. And every time he spoke of the Solomonar, his eyes did not look at the sky. They looked at Ili. I asked Babu what he thought. He kept watching the mountains, the way he always did, as if waiting for something that might never come. Then he said quietly,
He's no Solomonar.
"What is he then?"
A man who learned that fear feeds faster than sheep.
He picked up a stone and turned it slowly in his hand.
The real ones don't shout. They don't sell protection. They don't count coins. And the real storm doesn't come for money.
We stood in silence for a while. Down in the yard, Ili was nailing boards over his broken window, his hands trembling so badly he could barely hold the hammer. I asked, "Does he deserve this?" His voice was calm, too calm.
He sent his own blood into the mountain. No father who does that walks under a clear sky for long. And if the boy came back, then the storm came back with him.
Babu looked at me once more, and for the first time since I arrived, there was no fear in his eyes.
Some debts are not paid to men. They are paid to the sky.
For a few days, the sky stayed clear. Too clear. No wind, no thunder. No clouds heavy enough to carry hail. The stone master walked through the village like a man who had already won. He spoke loudly now. He said the Solomonar would not return. He said the mountains were closed. He said the storm had been broken. People believed him because they needed to believe something. Only Babu kept looking toward the ridge. Every evening, he sat on the same bench, watching the line where the forest met the sky. On the fifth night, he stopped speaking in the middle of a sentence. His eyes narrowed. The air had changed. Not colder, not warmer, just still. He stood up without a word and grabbed my arm.
Come,
he said. What happened? I asked.
He came back.
There's no storm, I said.
There doesn't have to be.
We walked fast through the village. No one else seemed to notice anything. Dogs slept. Windows were dark. Even the stone master's house was quiet. Babu did not stop there. He kept walking toward Ili's house at the edge of the fields. The grass bent in a narrow line, like something had passed through it. Babu froze.
Too late,
he whispered. We reached the yard. The door was open. The boards Ili had nailed over the window were broken from the inside. The air smelled of wet earth. Then the sound came. Not thunder, not wind. That deep dragging sound I had heard at the lake. We both looked up. The sky was not covered in clouds. Only a single dark shape moved above the house, slow and heavy, like smoke that had weight. For a moment the shape lowered, and the air grew thick, hard to breathe. And then I saw it, the long body moving through the night. Something vast, turning inside the dark. On its back, a figure. Still, silent, holding the pale birch bridle. Ili was not on the ground. He was not in the yard. He was not in the house. He was hanging from the side of the creature, bound with something that looked like rope, but moved like smoke. His feet dragged in the air. The Solomonar did not look at us. He did not look at the village. He only looked forward, as if following a road no one else could see. The dragon rose slowly, until the dark swallowed both of them. I wanted to run into the village, to wake the others, to tell them what we had seen. Babu grabbed my shoulder hard enough to hurt.
No, they don't need to know. They'll ask where Ili went. They will say he ran. They will say the mountain took him. and that is better.
I stared at him. Why?
If they hear the truth, they will fear the wrong man, and fear makes people stupid. They will drag the stone master into the road. They will beat him, maybe kill him.
He spat into the grass.
He's a liar, but he's only a man.
The wind moved again, soft this time. Babu's eyes followed the mountains. We stood there for a long time, listening to nothing. After a while, Babu spoke again, almost to himself.
There are powers older than churches, older than kings, older than the names we give them.
He looked at me one last time.
And the ones who forget that.
He nodded toward the empty sky.
Do not stay long on this earth.